So, Charlamagne the God, yes, from the Breakfast Club, was recently on CNN and he was speaking to Don Lemon. And it appears he is rallying behind or is the most interested in Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. I have a lot to say on this, but first I'm going to show you the clip.
I don't know who I wanted to be yet.
You don't know.
I think I wanted to be Senator Kamala Harris, only because I feel like, Donald Trump is setting the stage for the first woman president, specifically a woman of color. Because if you see how women of color have rallied since Donald Trump has been in the White House, whether it was the Women's March that Tamika Mallory and Linda Sarsour and Carmen Perez put together, or Alabama, yeah, the way they turned out in Alabama,
Right.
like it seems like the stage is being set for a woman of color president. And when you see somebody as qualified as Senator Harris.
All right, so I'm going to stop the clip there. Look, this is just lazy voting. And I see it all the time, especially in the African American community. But I see it all the time. She's a woman and she's African American, so why wouldn't I vote for her? Because it's about more than gender, and it's about more than race. Those things, to me personally, don't matter at all. Right? Setting the stage, no. Qualified, what does that even mean? If you were to look at pretty much all the contenders in the Democratic race right now, you could say all of them are qualified, except for the people that are billionaires and being taken seriously simply because they're billionaires. But Charlamagne, my question to you is, you say she's qualified, but have you looked at her record? Have you looked at what she stands for? Because, and I'm a fan of yours. I feel that if you knew her record and if you understood what she stood for, there's no way you'd even utter those words. And if there's one thing I can't stand, it's lazy voting, and so many people do that. And then later on complain that things haven't changed or they're still stuck in the same situation they were in. And I was like, you voted for who you voted for because of lazy voting. So, couple things about Kamala Harris. She was against legalizing marijuana. She actually laughed at it when she was running in her state. And the person she was going against was Republican. He was for legalizing marijuana. She was against legalizing marijuana. She was against body cams on police officers. All right? Huge red flag. Huge no-no. She didn't prosecute Steve Mnuchin, even after her office told her to. She was in favor of California's three-strike law, which I feel like that's something Charlamagne knows about and would be completely against. She supports civil asset forfeiture, which is pretty much just legalized robbery by cop, right? The list goes on, and I just can't understand why someone as smart as Charlamagne the God, I've read his book, I've listened to the podcast, I've watched The Breakfast Club, why he wouldn't do his research. Now, if he were to tell me, or if he were to say, I know about all those things already, I'm well aware of them, I don't care, then that's one thing. Okay, you don't care about it, and that's how you want to vote, then fine. But something tells me that's not the case. She goes back and forth. She'll say she's for Medicare for all. The next time in an interview, she's against it. If you've ever seen her defend Medicare for all, she does an atrocious job at defending it because she's not really for it. She is, and I'll give her this credit, she is an amazing politician. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to play the game. There are some politicians that don't. And I also think she has no chance against Trump. I think he'd destroy her. It's easy to go on stage and destroy handsy Joe Biden. Trump is a different kind of creature. This is the man that said he could shoot someone on Fifth Ave and people would still vote for him. And it was true. People will vote for him no matter what he says. He definitely has loyal followers. But, I encourage you, I implore you, Charlamagne, not that you'll even see this, but by the slim chance that you do, look at her record and then rethink what you're saying here, because that's just lazy voting. I don't care if the candidate is a woman. I don't care if the candidate is African American. I don't care if they're Hispanic. I don't care about that at all. That means nothing. All I care about is policy. I'm policy driven. And people tend to vote not in their own best interest because they care about surface crap like gender or race. That doesn't matter. That's why you're still stuck in the same situation you're in so often. Half of America makes $30,000 or less. People live paycheck to paycheck. People are working 2 or 3 jobs and still can't afford to pay the rent. Right? There are some very important things at stake here. And from a candidate, I could care less about what their gender is, and I could care less about what their ethnicity is. Look at policy. I implore you. Or else you're just gonna. Or else I'm not gonna say Charlamagne's gonna be stuck in the same boat. He's well off, but there's gonna be people that are stuck in the same boat they're in now, later on, and they're gonna wonder why things are the way they are. Why didn't things change? It's because you're doing lazy voting. That's lazy voting. If you're gonna go out there and vote, at least do yourself the favor and look at what these people you're voting for represent. Look at their record. Look at how they suddenly had an epiphany and now they're opposed to the things they were voting for before. Hillary Clinton, before the 2016 election, she had flipped. She was against gay marriage for a long time, and then as early as between 2012 and 2014, she suddenly came around. It's bullshit. So if Kamala Harris is suddenly for weed when she was against it prior, that should be a red flag. She's running for the president of the United States. She's trying to play progressive. She's trying to play the game, and you can't be a sheep, okay? You can't be a tribalist. You have to use your head when dealing with these people. All right? There was an individual who was locked up. Daniel? I think his name was Daniel. And he was ordered to be released. He was locked up. He was innocent. It was clear he was innocent. They knew he was innocent. And Kamala Harris kept him in there because of a hiccup with paperwork. She knew it. She knew the man was innocent. She didn't care. Right? So Kamala the Cop Harris is qualified. Sure. Does that make her the right candidate as the next president of the United States? And I say nay.